Hello and welcome to Newsroom. I'm Sharmeen Ali and we're live from Islamabad. We're going to be talking about how Pakistan has gone up in its overall economic freedom score. That's on the Economic Freedom Index 2019 by the Heritage Foundation in Washington, D.C. And it's gone up by 0.6% and not 0.6%, 0.6. And Pakistan is the 131st freest economy in 2018. And this is out of an overall list of 186 economies. So we're going to be talking about the different factors which led to this ranking. We have with us in our studios Mr. Shakil Rame, who's an economist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today on our program. This increase that we've had by 0.6 points on this rating, which is the Economic Freedom Index of 2019. In your mind, what does that say about the changes that have come about in the last 1 year in Pakistan's economy?
Look, it was expected, so there would be a change in our economic freedom as we knew it. So as we have witnessed an increase in ranking on an ease of doing. So that means there are some certain indicators which also contribute towards the economic freedom. So it was expected that we will have some improvement in other indicators. This is only one thing, and maybe then other ranking may be coming on the way. Maybe we witness some other changes and improvement. But this is a very meager, you can say, the improvement, 0.6. And still we have to remember that we are the 131st country. It's not like that you are lower than the 100. Even if you find on the list, you will find number of other countries in certain regions like Central Asia or the other regions, so who are performing better than us.
We were 131st in 2018 as well.
So they are performing well than us. So it is not matter to just to celebrate, but it is good. It feel good. So it's about the feeling good.
Right.
So it feel good when your ranking is improving.
Right.
But the actual issue is how you are translating this economic ranking or the ease of doing business ranking and other Modi ranking, how you are translating these ranking into the reality. So how you are attracting the real investment.
Right.
And how you are bringing the real business to the country, and how you are it's contributing towards that the businessmen feel comfortable that they can invest here. So how you can bring the new trade opportunities. So when these all indicators work together and show you the positive, you can say the outlook, or you give the positive indications, that means there is a really good one. But otherwise, for example, before the 2007 and its economic crisis in U.S., there were certain banks, they were AAA ranked by Moody's, but after 1 month, they were collapsed.
Right. In this case, they're saying that the higher scores that were attained this time was for judicial effectiveness and property rights, and which were previously not. This is where the increase mostly was. So property rights have seemed to have improved in Pakistan according to this ranking, and judicial effectiveness.
So there are certain indicators which contributed. That's what I'm saying. So we were expecting it from ease of doing business. So we will be witnessing some more improvement as indicators, and it is happening right now. So there was I think during last Chief Justice tenures, it was judiciary played really good role, and they were very, you can say, strict on certain things. Even they did not let go the higher ups and the untouchable in this country to they did not leave them. So they asked them to, on certain issues, they asked for the answers, accountability measures. And on general perceptions, if you look at that, how much it has contributed towards the real business, that is the real question.
Absolutely.
So property rights, where it has improved, either the property rights have ensured the timely availability of land for the business community, if you are talking about, or it's only for the personal stuff. As a person, it's a good also. People were suffering, and definitely there were so ambiguous needs in the you can say the property. So the people are suffering. It's good. But when we talk about the overall framework of economy, we have to look some other indicators also.
Right. Okay. So the Heritage Foundation gave Pakistan a score of 55 on a scale of 0 to 100. So we're somewhere there in the middle. To achieve 100, there would have to be a lot of other factors that change over here in Pakistan's economy. And what we're seeing is that in 2018, they found that due to improvement there was improvement in fiscal health, in that sense that the 131 rating position was there in 2018 also. So basically, in your mind, in your opinion, as an economist, what is economic freedom exactly for Pakistan?
Economic freedom is in Pakistan, not in Pakistan, worldwide. It means how independent you can take the decisions and how the system is run efficiently. For example, if you want to go for a trade agreement with agreement, you are exporter. You have to export your stuff to other countries. So there is an importer. So importer feels confident like that he can come into the market freely and he can have all the rights. When he will be moving here, he will be good treatment on different indicators. So that's means you are free to take actions. One thing and second thing, and there are not so many ambiguities and some restrictions to open up a new business or the new business company. So number of indicators which contribute towards economic freedom, but the basic thing is how businessmen feel comfortable in operating in your country.
Right, exactly how streamlined the processes are. The foundation defines economic freedom as the fundamental right of every human to control his or her own labor and property. And they say that in an economically free society, individuals are free to work, produce, consume, and invest in any way they please. To work, produce, consume, and invest in any way.
Everything, that's what I'm talking about. So everything, anybody want to have any decision. So where will they want to invest? It should not be restrictions like that, oh, look, this industry is only for a certain people, certain class or a certain people.
Exactly.
You cannot invest. For example, there are certain things which limit foreign investment in certain sectors.
Right.
Every country have a list. For example, US, they recently, I think 2 years back, they have their new security documents where they mention the basic economic indicators as the national security areas. For example, in the steel and some other 5G technology, some other activities, they classified it as the security domains. And on the basis of the security domains, the US has running a huge campaign against Huawei. So because they are not letting them to work in US on the 5G technology. If you look at the 5G technology, it's a business and there should be no discrimination. So like US companies, they are working all across the world in the technology field. So why they are facing some discriminations?
Right.
So it's like that. So how the business community or how the businessmen come to your country, they can have a decision at the macro level. And micro level is how the individuals can adopt their choice. It should not be like that. So in a certain area, people must go for the agriculture. In another area, people must go for the industry. Some of the labor thing. So they can make their independent choices.
Absolutely.
And how they go for the consumption. But definitely, always there are certain limitations. On consumption, look at the food. So I'm not talking about the services, something else. If you look at the food, there are certain limitations on the consumptions. So different types. So you cannot sell this product in some Islamic countries or something where. So these are the things.
Fair enough. Right. Okay. So what about does this include? Is inclusivity a part of this economic freedom, where all the different people from the different social strata of your economy have the same opportunities? Because do you have a person from your poorest class having the same opportunity for upward mobility and starting a business, etc., as anybody else? Or does this also include that? And women have the same opportunities as men?
Look, I think so. When we're talking about the Heritage Foundation, they are basically taking this clue from the American tree. So that where every individual have a right to grow, every individual have to go to equal rights to reach anything. But these are, I think, these are something. There are a few things which are good to attract, but in actual practice, there are other measures which are required. If you're talking about the equal opportunity, so it doesn't mean that job is open for everybody. It means that either everybody is getting the skills for that job who wants to compete. A person who has graduated from very well renowned university on the technology stuff, or the other person who does not have access and other sources to have access to those institutions or these facilities to get training. So how they will be equal.
Right, exactly. For example, if somebody I know, their child wanted to do medicine and they didn't make a certain number of marks, but if in another part of the
mark,
world,
that is a merit, that is a freedom. But the thing is that if they secure the simple marks, is it due to the money that they are not able to secure? if we talk about the state.
But the variety of options available in Pakistan, that's also a little bit limited for certain skills. You have, a certain number of people who can get seats and all. So even in that, there's a little bit, because if you go in the West, particularly in the United States, if you don't make it in one round, you can try again, you can try a different route, you can do another course, you can still go in the same field.
In every economy, in every country,
The choices
you
are
need,
there.
you require a different set of skills. It is not like that everybody would be doctor, then who will be the patient?
No, fair enough. But
So
I mean, if you want to go into a
so
certain field, there have to be different options.
But
as
thing
well.
is that when we look at, I always maintain there are two types of the expenditure budgeting. One is education expenditure and one is education investment. Education expenditure is that just you are putting the money on the people what they want to do, and they are getting the education, they are getting they are being graduated, but their contribution to the economy, that is not up to mark, because you are not producing the, for example, if you everyone is engineer in your country, who will do the rest of the work?
Right.
You have to strike a balance. In that balance, when the people have the freedom to make a choice.
Right, exactly.
So if you look at that, why the developed countries, they are putting a lot of money to attract the brain from the developing country, including Pakistan.
Right.
Because they need those people. It is not like that they are doing the charity with us. They need those people. They want to retain them.
Right.
That is the biggest problem that developing countries are facing, the brain drain. And but it has started to create another type of the problem in those countries.
Right.
Now the people are asking, immigrants are taking their jobs.
Exactly.
Why?
And they also have an aging population.
Aging-
so
not
to
about-
make up for that, they
not only aging
developing
population,
countries have a younger
not
population.
only aging
workforce.
population, the people who are investing their money, so who are wasting their money in the education, it was only expenditure most of the time, because they were just putting on something like that. Definitely you need some scholars, you need some thinkers, philosophers, everything, but if you produce and access, who will be doing the rest of the job? So that is a difference between education expenditures and education investment. You have to define how you have to move forward. Economic freedom doesn't mean that so everybody can become an engineer. Country have to look at the structure, how the country have to run. So then you define, look if
But what about aptitude? If a particular person has a certain aptitude or interest in a certain subject, should they be cut out of that?
No, not cut off that. That's what I'm saying. If you look at aptitude, so that is also a natural process somehow. So everybody don't like to be engineer. Somebody like to be the doctor, somebody like to be the economist, somebody like to be the psychologist, somebody like to be the journalist. Number of things they like to do.
Right.
So that's a balance where they want. You have to provide them those opportunities.
Okay, so the way this is assessed is that the role of the law, government size, regulatory efficiency and access to open markets are all measured by this survey that they do, and the data is also then shared by investors and businesses and finance leaders, etc., journalists, academics, students, then it's disseminated. So this is, they look at overall the whole regulatory structure in a country, the government size, access to markets, etc., all of that is there. So this is the way of assessing it.
Now look, basically this data is provided by all the governments. If you look at it from where they are getting data, Heritage Foundation will not be able to collect data from the 7.5 billion people. They will be getting data from sources like ease of doing business. From there getting the data, they are getting data from the government or some other agencies, and those agencies ultimately it comes back to the state. If World Bank report is coming out, from where they get the data, the government provide the data. So it's basically official data. So then they try to analyze those trends. But definitely this is a huge data, we say it's a big data. You need that technology to make analysis of that big data. So which I think the countries like Pakistan doesn't have that capacity right now to do that big data analysis. So just we are trying to feed that data, whatever we have.
Right, okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Shakil Rami, for joining us and talking to us as usual on the economy. Very good insights that you give us on this. After the break, we'll come back and we'll talk about our other topics.
Badshai Mosque or the Royal Mosque in Lahore, commissioned by the 6th Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in 1671 and completed in 1673, is the second largest mosque in Pakistan and South Asia and the fifth largest mosque in the world. Epitomizing the beauty, passion and grandeur of the Mughal era. It is Lahore's most famous landmark and a major tourist attraction. Capable of accommodating 5,000 worshippers in its main prayer hall and a further 95,000 in its courtyard, it remains the largest mosque in the world. From 1673 to 1986, a period of 313 years, when overtaken in size by the completion of the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. Today, it remains the second largest mosque in Pakistan and South Asia and the fifth largest mosque in the world after Masjid al-Haram, Grand Mosque of Mecca, and Al-Masjid al-Nabwi, Prophet's Mosque in Medina. The Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca and the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. To appreciate its large size, the four minarets of the Badshai Mosque are 13.9 feet, 4.2 meters taller than those of the Taj Mahal, and the main platform of the Taj Mahal can fit inside the 278,784 square feet courtyard of the Badshai Mosque, which is the largest mosque courtyard in the world. Architectural wonders of Pakistan.
Welcome back. The European Union Parliament, the EU Parliament, is set to take up resolutions to discuss Prime Minister Modi's unilateral decision on August 5th to revoke the special status of Kashmir, Indian-occupied Kashmir, and they also will be discussing their concerns about the tensions between Pakistan and India, two nuclear-armed neighbors, and also they will be talking about in their resolutions, they will discuss the Citizenship Amendment Act, its discriminatory nature, the curfew and lockdown in Indian-occupied Kashmir. Several different issues concerning India will be discussed in the EU Parliament on January 29th. We're going to be talking about this with our guests who are with us on our program today. We have with us again one of our regular participants, Mr. Hamid Khan, who's a journalist, and we also have with us Dr. Waqar Ali Kausar, who's an international affairs expert. Thank you both for joining us on our program again. And so this is again, we're seeing that international communities, foreign countries are taking up this issue about Kashmir very seriously, and everything else that's going on in India, the repression of minorities and the protests going on, the heavy-handedness with them. Hamid Khan Sahab, first I'd like your comments on this.
You know, actually when on 5th of August last year, when Modi revoked this Article 370 and make the whole Kashmir like the biggest, I should say, prison in the world, in one of his statements, he said that we will continue with this like for 2-3 months, and then he had this impression that the world will forget about it, or like they can change or divert the attention of the world with other issues. But as a matter of fact, it didn't happen. It won't happen. And I would appreciate government of Pakistan as well in this matter, that they tried they tried to raise the voice for Kashmiris, and they raised this issue in international all the international platforms, including we've seen when Prime Minister went to United Nations General Assembly, and then other platforms as well. We have seen even in Economic Forum, he mentioned it, although he said that he's not going to discuss it, but he did mention it. So it was, and then he asked President Trump a few times to come and do the mediation, because he's trying to make his point that this is a very sensitive point. Secondly, if India, what they did in the Citizen Amendment Act with CEAA, it has been the most discriminated law in the modern world. It was like it was scrapping a minority based on the religion. It has never been seen anywhere in the world before as well.
Right.
Even if we give any other country's example, it's not possible. And I would say, as you know as well, European Union and Europe is very much concerned with human rights, violations, human rights activities, and what's happening in India. Europe is very closely watching that. And I would say that this is the time when Brussels needs to take some solid step towards, if this resolution is coming, I hope that on 29th of January, this resolution will be passed as well. It's a good step that they're going to present the resolution, but let's see what is the outcome of it. That is another, because Indian lobby is very strong in Europe as well. And they try to, reject this. They may try to, oppose this in a different way to not to get it past the resolution against Prime Minister Modi. Second thing is, if you think that Modi is trying to suppress his own, people in apart from Indian occupied Kashmir, it's happening in Kerala, it's happening in Assam, and when they celebrated this, this so-called their day of, Republican Day, it was all over in India. There was so many protests, including Assam. They had 4, blasts there, and the separatists mentioned that this is our way of putting up protest against this Indian government and against the laws. Now we have seen that in Assam, in Kerala, in Bengal, and then all over the world, including London, New York, many cities of England, and Dhaka, Bangladesh, which is supposed to be, all these countries, they are protesting against the both major issues happening in India.
Right. Dr. Vikas Ali Kausar, this topic being discussed in the European Parliament now, in your mind, significant?
It has different dimensions to it. First, we need to understand that India as a state has a very strong institutional memory when it comes to Kashmir. So the idea was scrapping 370 and then taking it into long, process. I mean, they were very much aware that this would happen. But the resistance of Kashmiri society, the people's reaction, they have seen in past as well. So this was very much well planned that they can continue and prolong it. But the sort of international response and the way international mechanism responded over the period of time was something very important for the Kashmiris. I guess BJP proved to be a blessing in disguise for Kashmiris. You just imagine that it was also discussed in European Parliament in 2019, September 19. But it was not tabled for the voting. Now, this time, around 626 members of EU Parliament, out of almost 751, it's more than 70-80% people, their elected members, now are presenting different resolution. I guess Borrell will read deliver the statement, and then it will be open for debate, and on 29th it will come to put for the voting. Now, what is the significance for Kashmir? If you read the text of those things, something that Kashmiri people want from decades, that it also mentions about United Nations resolutions, Security Council resolutions, which is important and significant for Kashmiris. It also talks about human rights violations. It also talks about political detentions, suppression, internet lockdown, communication problems. So it entirely covers those areas and aspects which are central to the Kashmiri resistance. So it is a great welcoming step that the resistance of Kashmiris for their fundamental political rights is recognized. We have seen this. I guess within 6 months it has been discussed twice in United Nations Security Council. I guess this is very significant. We also seen that Congress hearings in past, and some of them are going to happen in future as well. So I guess in overall scenario, when we see that, this is something, a hope for Kashmiris. Their voice is echoed in the Western capitals, where, I mean, what is they also mentioned, even when they come to CAA and NRC, they mentioned it that this is basically against the United Nations Charter, fundamental human rights, and India is signatory to many of them. So the whole picture, if we see that, this is also the recognition of Kashmiris' long-standing desires and wishes about their political future. What we have seen in the other resolutions, I mean, this is sad. I mean, we see that there are two aspects to it in India. This notion of secularism, which was very much restricted to the India's drawing rooms and television channels and constitution, this has gone down.
Exposed now.
No, but this has also gone down to their society. He's talking about different people coming out, protesting and all that. I guess this is a reality check for India's democracy as well. And what we have seen and what we are thinking is, I mean, we've seen the protest. I mean, we see in Delhi, we have seen in Clock Tower in Calcutta, we have seen in the Noor Bagh or Shaheen Bagh in many places. So see, this time we have seen a new India. Even the women, those living in a very patriarchal society, now they have assumed a new role. They are coming to the streets, and I guess this is a miscalculation from BJP, particularly Amit Shah and Modi's calculation stats were not right when it comes to the CAA. No, I mean, it just want to complete one thing. It was, see, on the one hand, the fundamental idea was that they will divide the society. This has divided the society. Now it is up to the conscious voices of India that either they want to stand with the fundamental political space that they claim a secular space, or they will give in to the voices like, I mean, of the extreme BJP right-wing voices, which is something, I guess, which has literally shattered the fabric of the society. Just one thing I want to add more. India has tried in past, I guess 22 right-wing parliamentarians also went to the Kashmir. We have seen that. This time, EU delegation has realized, and it's a very welcoming step for Kashmiris in particularly, that they have boycotted this guided tour that Indian state facilitated of the ambassadors and the diplomats in Kashmir. So in overall, we are seeing things are changing. I guess this is a high time when the voices of Kashmiris should be heard. Their fundamental political rights should be given space.
Right, and it's not a process that happens overnight. I mean, actually, we've seen 72 years have passed, but this momentum it's taken on since August 5th, where I think the move that India has done has brought attention to this issue more than any other effort that Pakistan or Kashmiris have tried to do in the past. They've done it themselves, Hamid Khan.
What it is, I would say that when it comes to BJP politics, it's quite obvious. You know, for the last 6 years, what steps they were taking against Muslims all over India, lynching Muslims and, you know, the on the cow meat restrictions and other things. And then what we have seen is when it comes to Prime Minister Modi, his ideology is following back to RSS ideology. He is following that ideology, where Hindutva and the Hindu supremacy is the main, the score of their politics. Second thing is, I always think that this is the time when Kashmiris are heard everywhere in the world, and this is the time when world needs to stand up with Kashmiris now. This is the time when, and one more thing, it's very interesting. This is what Modi is doing in India. People are comparing him. Prime Minister Imran Khan started comparing him with Hitler. Now all over the world is starting comparing him with India, right, and with Hitler. Absolutely. And I will say that I have said in a few other programs that the time will come then when the Prime Minister Modi will not be only Hitler, it will not be remembered as Hitler, he will be remembered as the Gorbachev for India as well. When India will divide it in many states, he will be remembered as a Gorbachev for India, because this is the time now. We have seen so many separatist movements all over India, and as the gentleman said, that this European guided tour, which was refused by the European Union, it's a very good step. We have seen when they did the guided tour with American parliaments and few other parliamentarians, and they were not even allowed to access so many local politicians or member of parliament,
leaders,
the detained leaders.
In-house
so
arrest now for almost 6 months.
Yeah, so they were going to repeat it. So the European member of European Parliament, they knew that it is going to be like
orchestrated.
It's just going to be just a procedural tour and nothing else. They won't be able to see what exactly happening in Kashmir.
Dr. Vikas, now I'd like to ask, because some people have this thought that it's possible that the Modi government might be able to entice the Kashmiri public by giving them economic incentives, and you know how they've said that the region is going to flourish and business and investment will come into the area and all, and you know that they'll be given these kind of incentives and a better quality of life, etc. Do you think there might be a chance that the Kashmiri people might get won over?
See, this is maybe, this could be a point for the audience, those who do not understand Kashmir. But Kashmiris, if you see their history, their GDP has been even better, their education has been better from the rest of the, they are not the constitutional part of the India, but if they want to compare, that was better historically. So that was one of the area that we need to understand and tell to the people as well, that Kashmiris are somehow self-sufficient in many ways. They have a strong culture of business, community, well-being, support to each other. So it's a well-knitted community as well when it comes to their own survival. What has happened after 5th of August, if it was for the economic benefit, you have locked down everything. You have disconnected the internet, communication modes and all those. So
just to put it in perspective, Kashmiri businesses have closed down. Businessmen have had to leave. Handicrafts are down by 62%, which is one of their main
tourism has gone down.
The losses have been taken in tourism, healthcare, education,
and then
communications industry.
And then fruit picking up is they have faced billions of rupees is lost because they couldn't, because of this curfew, they couldn't even pick up the foods and the fruits and dry fruit season, everything. They lost so much economical loss, but determination of Kashmiris can never be compromised. They have tried it before as well, but the Kashmiris are determined for their freedom and for their right of self-determination.
The state economy has lost $1.5 billion.
So you know what, that I want to just make a point on that. See, when you have this communication blockade, when you have suspended all the modes, even the education was one of the sector which suffered a lot. Health sector as well, and the others as well.
Communications, anything, telecommunications.
So everybody knew that you cannot develop an economically viable model by caging people and activists and all that. It didn't work. The idea, we need to understand, the BJP was propagating this, doing away with 370 from very long, because this is something they were championing, getting votes and all that. And you know, at the times of Burhan Wani also, there was a long curfew imposed.
7 months.
Exactly.
So last time they were under lockdown.
So with the passage of time, Kashmiris have mastered the art of resistance. This is not something new for Kashmiris. They have been doing it since long. What has, shattered the belief of the BJP government is that the moment they have taken up this decision, the society collectively responded, and they showed their anger and they showed their displeasure, and they have demonstrated one thing, that even you just see, you have locked Mehbooba Mufti was pro-India, you have done with Umar Abdullah and all that. The collective response from the society came from all the parties, from all the sections, that this is something unacceptable. You have seen that the members of Mehbooba Mufti party met with this guided tour delegation, and what happened? She had to expel them from the party. You can literally imagine the level of resistance from the society. So I guess the BJP government knows this, that Kashmiris will never reconcile under these circumstances. The way out is, if international community pushes India for dialogue process, resuming dialogue process primarily on Kashmir, giving the fundamental, I know at this time it's very challenging to talk to a government like BJP, which has so many internal issues. India is sort of destabilized, we see that. But the way forward is, until unless you push Indian government to have a negotiation and dialogue with Pakistan over Kashmir, including Kashmiri voices, there is no way out. One thing we need to understand, that India is our neighbor with 1.2 billion population. As Prime Minister said that, we might not afford to have a destabilized India. It can have an effect on Pakistan as well. We are a smaller country in terms of geography. So we don't wish the India that it should be going in different parts and all that. We don't want even that India which is right now at the moment, which is discriminatory, which is talking us about taking AJK And Gilgit-Baltistan creating hostilities, escalation on LOC, killing people, this is not the way that we expect from any democratic country. The fundamental idea is you have to create an environment of, trust. You have to, Pakistan has offered a lot for the dialogue
And Prime
spaces for the
Minister
India.
Imran Khan has said that if there's free trade movement, then it's going to boost the economy
See,
of
but
the
this is
entire
good.
region.
It is always in benefit of the two countries, and it is in benefit of the region. If there is a peace, then there is a more possibility of trade, more possibility of flourishing this this beautiful area, And second thing, I am very much concerned at this time that when we talk about dialogue, there is no question of any dialogues unless BJP government lifts this curfew, and Prime Minister Imran Khan has warned many times that it is nothing what they have seen in last few days. Once there will be no curfew, there is a very high risk of bloodshed because there will be big protests against this revocation of Article 370A. There will be more protests from Kashmiris for the freedom of their freedom. And secondly, if we talk about policies of BJP internally in India, it has been exposed very badly now that Indian government is never ever gonna consider Muslims of India as their equal citizens, which is a very, very big question mark for 200 million Muslims in India.
And Indians also don't, they've made it very clear they don't want outside interference from the
No, but
international community.
just on dialogue thing, I want to add one thing. See, the question is, Kashmir is not only a human rights issue. Kashmir is primarily a political issue. Dialogue over Kashmir, dialogue over fundamental political rights that have been agreed to the Kashmiris in United Nations Security Council resolutions, there are many. The question is, it has human rights angle very strong. India has done a lot of brutalities. When you have seen the human rights report and all these things. What is the fundamental stance of Kashmiris? The peace between Delhi and Islamabad runs through Srinagar. We have to understand this dynamic that until and unless this trade thing, all these things, the stabilization between India and Pakistan can only come when they talk on Kashmir, when the international community pushes India to, it's a responsibility of Indian government as well, primarily to have a dialogue with Pakistan, and Kashmir is primarily on the political settlement of Kashmiri people.
Right.
But at the moment, Pakistan's stance is very clear that there is no possibility of any dialogue unless they lift this curfew, which has made this whole there are casualties there are educational crisis, financial crisis, health crisis, then communication, there is no communication. So when we consider all that fact, there is no chance. And Prime Minister Imran and Government Shahid Qureshi, Foreign Minister, have clearly said that prior to 5th of August, we were ready for dialogue anywhere and any time. But at this time, dialogue could be a tactic from India to prolong this curfew. We cannot accept that.
We've seen Pakistan and India cooperate with the Kartarpur corridor.
And
there
are all the possibilities.
There is a possibility, there always is. However, after the opening of the Kartarpur corridor.
But there's a question, there's a larger question that at the end of the day, we need to understand that this curfew thing, this human rights thing, this is very severe and worse. But how will it end? How we will move out of it? The fundamental thing is what Kashmiri society want. They don't want to lose their children. The idea is that it's the commitment of international community to push India that there is an urgent need of dialogue over Kashmir for their fundamental political rights. Dialogue under the framework of United Nations Security Council resolutions.
Which could mean, the end solution could mean that Kashmir is totally independent, right?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, if there should be all the possible solutions can be discussed on the table. Independent Kashmir or Kashmir along with Pakistan. The only reason is Pakistan is emphasizing only one thing, and that is right of self-determination for the Kashmiris. And this is the only way out. Plebiscite is the only way out.
Right.
Once they do the right of self-determination for the Kashmiris, they should have given the choice whether they want to live with India,
Prime Minister
with Pakistan,
has said
or as an independent country.
We're ready for whatever.
We are ready for all the solutions with the wish and the willing of people of Kashmir.
Right.
That's
Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of this segment. Hamid Khan Sahab, thank you, and Dr. Vikas, thank you for joining us on a very interesting discussion. And now a very important important piece of news that we'd like to share with our viewers about the coronavirus. There has to be certain precautions taken about that, because this is now it has spread to different cities around the world. Now, some of the main symptoms of coronavirus are as follows. It's a common cold, and it can lead to more serious diseases such as illnesses such as Middle East respiratory system and severe acute respiratory system. It can even lead to death, and the signs of infection include fever, cough, and shortness of breath and breathing difficulties. Let's have a look about some more details about this virus, and we'll talk about it a bit more.
As death toll from coronavirus reaches 80, the world stands in fear of the untreatable virus. The city of Wuhan is the ground zero of the virus. But with 11 million population and people arriving and leaving from all over the world, the virus has spread to various cities around the world. Wuhan is under quarantine right now. Pakistan shares a border with China, and large number of Pakistanis are studying and working there. The concerns of health officials are genuine. Over 500 students and other Pakistani community members in Wuhan and other parts of China are safe, and there is no report of coronavirus infection in any of the community member. Utmost vigilance is being maintained, and an emergency operations cell at Federal Health Ministry is monitoring the situation round the clock. Thermoscanners and thermoguns have been provided to well-trained health officials at airports in Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad to screen all passengers arriving via flights from China. All major hospitals have been directed to make arrangements to receive possible cases of the virus and provide them necessary treatment. Pakistan Embassy in China is actively monitoring the situation of coronavirus outbreak. The embassy in Beijing and other submissions in China are also in touch with the Pakistani community as well as Chinese authorities. The government has said there is no need for panic or alarm, as health officials are well prepared to deal with any emergency.
So this virus has an incubation period of 10 to 14 days, and there's as of now no vaccine available. So it's important to take precautions about this, and we can search that up online, what those precautions are. In our next story, a very unfortunate incident which took the life of an NBA basketball superstar in the United States. Kobe Bryant, who's 41 years old, passed away in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California, with his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and he was apparently on his own private helicopter, and 9 people died in this crash, and it happened at 10 a.m. Yesterday. And Kobe Bryant has spent his 20-season career entirely with the LA Lakers, and it's a huge loss for the team and for the entire National Basketball Association in the United States. He was a big basketball superstar, a national icon, so very tragic news indeed, and we wish his family the deepest condolences. That's all the time we have for today's program. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsroom. We'll see you next time.